Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Vlog Podcast. Today is Monday, August 27th, 2018. Today I'm going to go over yesterday's baseball games, look ahead to tonight's games, go over the power rankings of the week, my players of the week, Little League World Series Championship game, NFL preseason. A big-name NFL player gets a contract extension, finally, and MLB local TV announcer rankings, a fun little ranking that I did, and I'll bring it to you at the end of the podcast. All right, baseball. Yesterday, the Phillies defeated the Blue Jays 8-3. Big win for Philly as they avoid the sweep and improve to 70-60. Toronto drops to 60-70. Vince Velasquez improves to 9-9. Marco Estrada drops to 7-10. The White Sox defeat the Tigers 7-2 as they improve to 51-79. The Tigers drop to 53-78. Michael Kopech gets his first big league win. He's 1-0. Jordan Zimmerman drops to 6-6. Jacob Fry gets the save. The Nationals defeated the Mets 15-0 as they improved to 65-66. The Mets dropped to 58-72. Jeffrey Rodriguez improves to 2-1. Steven Matz drops to 5-11. The Braves defeated the Marlins 4-0 as they improved to 73-57. Miami drops to 53-79. Kevin Gausman improves to 4-1. Pablo Lopez drops to 2-4. The Rays defeated the Red Sox 9-1 as they complete the sweep as they improve to 70-61. The Red Sox drop to 90-42. Blake Snell improves to 16-5. Nathan Eovaldi drops to 5-6. The Brewers defeated the Pirates 7-4 as they improve to 73-59. The Pirates drop to 64-67. Chase Anderson improves to 9-7. Chris Archer drops to 1-2 as a member of the Pirates. Jared Jeffries gets his 7th save of the season. The Athletics defeated the Twins 6-2 as they improve to 79-52. The Twins drop to 61-69. Ryan Butcher improves to 3-0. Jose Barrios drops to 11-9. The Indians defeated the Royals 12-5 as they improve to 74-56. Casey drops to 40-91. Shane Bieber improves 8-2. Jorge Lopez drops to 0-3. The Cubs defeat the Reds 9-0 as they improve to 76-53. The Reds drop to 56-75. Kyle Hendricks improves to 10-10. Homer Bailey drops to 1-12. The Cardinals defeat the Rockies 12-3 as they improve to 73-58. The Rocks drop to 71-59. Austin Gomber improves to 4-0. Tyler Anderson drops to 6-7. The Giants defeat the Rangers 3-1 as they improve to 65-67. Texas drops to 58-74. Derek Holland improves to 7-8. Yovani Gallardo drops to 7-3. Mark Melancon gets his 3rd save of the season. The Astros defeat the Angels 3-1 as they improve to 80-50. The Angels drop to 63-68. Framber Valdez improves to 2-0. Felix Pena drops to 1-4. Roberto Osuna gets his 11th save of the season. The Dodgers defeat the Padres 7-3 as they improve to 70-61. The Pods drop to 50-83. Haitian Ryu improves to 4-1. Robbie Erlin drops to 3-4. The Diamondbacks defeat the Mariners 5-2 as they improve to 72-58. The Mariners drop to 74-57. Zach Greinke improves to 13-8. Mike Leake drops to 8-8. Brad Boxberger gets his 29th save of the season. Last but not least, Sunday Night Baseball. The Yankees defeated the Orioles 5-3. To complete the sweep, they improve to 83-47. Baltimore drops to 37-94. Luis Severino improves to 17-6. Dylan Bundy drops to 7-13. David Robertson gets his 4th save of the year. Tonight's games, you only have 7 games on the slate. 7 o'clock ESPN, the White Sox at the Yankees. Carlos Rodon against Masahiro Tanaka. Give me the Yankees at home to win their 5th straight game to kick off their homestand. Blue Jays Orioles, Sam Gaviglio and David Hess. Nationals Phillies, Steven Strasburg and Zach Eflin. 8 o'clock Athletics Astros, big game for both of these teams as Houston is a game and a half up on the A's. Brett Anderson against Garrett Cole. Mets Cubs, Noah Syndergaard and John Lester. Rockies Angels, 10 o'clock on ESPN. John Gray against Odrisamer Despaigne. Give me the Rockies on the road to perhaps get closer in the wild card race and to the Diamondbacks in the West. And last but not least, 10:15, Diamondbacks Giants. Patrick Corbin and Chris Stratton. Power rankings for the week. I go from 30 to 1 as I do every week. Number 30 is the Baltimore Orioles. Were just swept by the Yankees over the weekend. They're losers of 8 straight. They're just playing out the string right now. Maybe more guys will get moved by Friday. We'll see. 29 is the Kansas City Royals. Same thing, playing out the string. Will any of their guys move by Friday? Should be interesting. 28 is the Chicago White Sox. They've not played well. I wonder if they'll move some guys. I'll tell you this, I'd be very surprised if they trade away Jose Abreu, which I doubt it. 27 is the San Diego Padres, who have not played well of late. Wonder if any more of their guys will get moved, maybe Kirby Yates. 26 is the Detroit Tigers. They're a team to watch going into Friday, too. Maybe they can move some veterans, Jordan Zimmerman or Francisco Liriano. 25 is the Miami Marlins. They already made some moves. I don't think JT Realmuto will go yet. I think he'll go in the offseason. 24 is the Cincinnati Reds. I do not think they'll make any moves. I think they really convinced themselves that they can be a contender next year in the National League Central, even though you have the Cubs and the Cardinals there right now. Who knows with Milwaukee? And the Pirates are obviously rebuilding too. 23 is the New York Mets. Have been pitching well of late up until the 8th and 9th innings on Sunday. Feel bad for Steven Matz. He got the undeserved loss in the game yesterday. Noah Syndergaard's pitched a little better. Jacob deGrom will probably win the National League Cy Young Award. 22 is the Texas Rangers. Probably the best last place team in the league. Have always played well for most of the year against the Astros and the Yankees and the Athletics. And I think we'll have a say in the American League West race down the stretch. I do not think they'll move anybody prior to Friday. And I already talked about the Reds and how I don't think they'll move anybody. And speaking of moving, the Mets, they just got a claim for Jose Bautista from the Phillies. So they have 24 hours to work out a trade with the Phils. I'm not sure where Bautista would fit on Philly. I think Philly is just collecting veterans to make a run at this and overtake the Braves in the National League East. Back to the power rankings. Speaking of the Phillies, the team that just beat them 2 out of 3, the Toronto Blue Jays, they're at 21. They're playing a lot better of late, Toronto. Wouldn't be surprised if they kept this up a little bit and played a good spoiler against the Yankees and the Red Sox, who I'll eventually get to. Number 20 is the Minnesota Twins. They've been playing very good spoiler of late. They're only, I believe, 9 games under 500. Same for Toronto. Toronto might be 10 under by now, but Twins are like 9 or 8 under 500. They're playing a little better. Logan Forsythe's been a nice pickup for them off of waivers, or not off of waivers. He came for them from Brian Dozier, so I wonder if somebody will claim Forsythe off of waivers. So that's another name to watch within the next couple of days. 19 is the San Francisco Giants. They've fallen off since the trade deadline pretty much. I think they are regretting not being a seller right now. Andrew McCutchen will probably be on another team next week, whether it's Oakland or Cleveland, maybe the Yankees. 18 is the Washington Nationals. They were in such a melees offensively until the 8th and 9th innings yesterday when they put up 14 combined in those 2 innings against the Mets. Number 17 is the Los Angeles Angels. Another team that I think kind of regrets selling at the deadline. They haven't really done much since the trade deadline when they'll move some guys. Although they did trade Ian Kinsler at the deadline. He hasn't really done much for Boston. 16 is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've fallen off a cliff since they traded for Chris Archer. Archer's been okay for them. Hasn't been great, but hasn't been a disaster either. Although the Tampa Bay Rays, who are a number 15 team, have played a lot better since they traded away Chris Archer. their pitching staff has been absolutely phenomenal. They swept the Red Sox. They've played well against the Yankees this year, too. So I think that is the best bet to play spoiler down the stretch within these last 5 weeks of the season and help out the AL East race a little bit in terms of who will win it. And they basically did the Yankees a favor over the weekend by sweeping Boston. And that's why they're 15 on my power rankings. 14 is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have not really played well of late. Were swept by the Cardinals. Rebounded nicely against the Padres. Number 13 is the Philadelphia Phillies. They haven't really played well lately either. They lost on that walk-off homer by Ryan Zimmerman after the Nationals traded away Daniel Murphy and Matt Adams. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. But as long as the Phils hang in there within striking distance of the Braves, they have 6 games left between each other, I believe. Or I know 2 series is, I think it's 6 games. 3 in Philly and 3 in Atlanta. So I think that will ultimately determine the National League East winner. And speaking of the Braves, they're number 12. They haven't really played that great. I remember last weekend they were swept by the Rockies. And the Marlins picked them off a couple times over this weekend. Number 11 is the Milwaukee Brewers. I think they might regret not getting a starting pitcher at the deadline, although they have a couple days to go out and get one if they're really serious about overtaking the Cubs in that division. Number 10 is the Colorado Rockies. They're playing a lot better baseball of late. They belong in the top 10 this week. Number 9, the Seattle Mariners. A big couple weeks for them coming up. I wonder if they'll make a move to pick somebody up. 8's the Arizona Diamondbacks. I believe they just took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners over the weekend. 7, the St. Louis Cardinals. The hottest team in baseball right now. It's not even close. If you asked me who's going to host the National League wildcard game, my answer right now would be the St. Louis Cardinals, barring them continuing this run, coinciding with an unforeseen collapse by the Chicago Cubs. I'll get to the Cubs in a couple seconds. Number 6 is the Cleveland Indians. They're playing pretty well right now. They have that division locked up. They've had that division locked up for a while. And I think they have that 3 seed locked up. And they deserve credit for getting that split in Boston. And they face Boston again, I believe, this weekend. Number 5 is the Oakland Athletics. They're hanging in there at Houston. They have a big series in Houston beginning tonight. And then they have a series against the Yankees, which they have to win that series if they want a chance to host the American League wild card game. Number 4 is the Houston Astros. As I mentioned, big series for them coming up. They play host to the A's, and they have to beat the A's here if they want to hang on to this American League West. Number 3 is the Chicago Cubs. They've been playing great baseball of late. I think they're going to win the National League Central. They'll probably have home field advantage in the National League playoffs, too. If you ask me, the favorite in the National League is right now, it's the Chicago Cubs, unless the Dodgers go on a big run here and the Cubs have a couple more injuries. That Daniel Murphy addition has been huge. They're undefeated since they got him. The Cubs absolutely belong in this number 3 spot in these power rankings. And you could have talked me into the number 2 spot if the Yankees faltered this weekend. And that's why I have a number 2 this week. They did not falter. They swept the Orioles. They only lost 1 game this week, which was in Miami. It was a game after Aroldis Chapman was put on the disabled list. And Aaron Boone went to his bullpen a little too late in that game. Other than that, good week for the Yankees, sans the injuries. Gary Sanchez might be back this week. Didi Gregorius might be back for the Oakland series. The only unknown now, in terms of an injury standpoint, is Aaron Judge. And I guess Aroldis Chapman's a little bit of an unknown right now, although I think he'll be back before Aaron Judge. Another positive Yankees takeaway is that Luis Severino, I think, has pitched a lot better since his little slump. He's not totally back yet, but he's showing signs of life in his 3 of his last 4 starts. Granted, those 3 starts that he won were against the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and the White Sox, and the start that he lost that he looked really bad, somewhat not great in was against the Mets. And he did pitch well in Boston against the Red Sox, too, a few weeks ago, too. So I guess you can say 4 of his last 5 starts haven't been that bad. And speaking of the Red Sox, despite them being swept in Tampa Bay, they're still number 1. And it's funny, I said last week that I don't see them being knocked off the number 1 spot for the rest of the season. If this slide is real, then maybe the Yankees or the Cubs or even the Astros could be number 1 this time next week or 2 weeks from now. The Yankees are only 5 back in the loss column in the division now. So now the AL East is somewhat interesting, especially if the Red Sox have another subpar week for them, and the Yankees, who have an easy schedule this week, can go off a little bit against the American League Central basement dwellers and the Tigers and the White Sox. Well, 2 of the basement dwellers, I should say, in the AL Central. And from a Red Sox standpoint, they have Miami and at the White Sox. So their schedule is a little easy, too. Although the Marlins haven't been playing bad lately, they picked off the Yankees in that one game. Should have swept the Yankees, if you're really being honest, because the Yankees got away with the Marlins doing a poor job with runners in scoring position in that extra inning game on Tuesday night. And then the Marlins picked off the Braves twice over the weekend, too. So the Red Sox better not take the Marlins for granted like the Yankees and the Braves did pretty much. Players of the week. I think the American League one was very easy, and it's the guy who's homered in 7 straight games, Kendrys Morales of the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are playing a little better of late. They're playing good spoiler. They played good spoiler to the Phillies over the weekend. I expect them to play a little spoiler against the Yankees and the Red Sox as these next couple weeks go on. I think the Red Sox go to Toronto one more time. I know the Yankees are finished in Toronto for the season. And then I believe they go to Yankee Stadium one more time this year too. So Toronto can play some good spoiler down the stretch, especially if the Red Sox end up going to Toronto one more time, because they're a much better team at home than they are on the road. And National League Player of the Week is David Bote of the Chicago Cubs, who made a name for himself hitting that big grand slam on Sunday Night Baseball a few weeks ago, and it's gone on a bit of a tear since then. 3 home runs this past week. He hit the walk-off homer against the Reds. I believe that was on Saturday. Actually, no, that was Friday afternoon, my mistake. And so, Players of the Week, David Bote of the Chicago Cubs and Kendrys Morales of the Toronto Blue Jays. Little League World Series, as I correctly predicted on this podcast yesterday, Hawaii defeated South Korea, 3-0 to take home the Little League World Series championship. This is so deserving for Hawaii. They're dealing with hurricanes right now, so it's kind of fitting that Honolulu took home the Little League World Series championship. NFL preseason action yesterday. There were only 2 games, and both of them were on national TV. The first game was on Fox, and the second game was on NBC. The Bengals defeated the Bills 26-3. Josh Allen got roughed up in this game. That was the big story of this game. 6 for 12, 34 yards with a quarterback ranking of 56.3. Nate Peterman looked very good. 16 for 21, 200 yards and a touchdown pass with a quarterback ranking of 121.1. I'm tempted to say I wouldn't rule out Peterman starting week 1, but I doubt it. I think the Bills are smarter than that, and they'll go with the rookie that they traded up to get. And from Bengals' standpoint, Andy Dalton, 11 for 16, 180 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and a quarterback ranking of 145.8. So a great dress rehearsal game for Dalton. The Cardinals defeated the Cowboys 27-3. This game was the game that was on NBC. Sam Bradford, 1 for 46 yards with a quarterback ranking of 39.6, so he didn't see much time. Mike Lennon, 8 for 10, 35 yards with a quarterback ranking of an 81.3. Josh Rosen did not play. Dak Prescott did not play in this game either. Mike White, the rookie for the Cowboys, 17 for 22, 157 yards and an interception, quarterback ranking of 77.3. Cooper Rush, 11 for 17, 93 yards and 2 interceptions. Quarterback ranking of a 39.2, so an ugly dress rehearsal game for the Cowboys, although Dak did not play, so I wouldn't want to overreact to that. The final preseason games will be played on Thursday night. We'll get to those on Thursday's podcast. Speaking of football, huge news today. Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants agreed to a contract extension, 5 years, $95 million, $65 million guaranteed, well-deserved contract extension for one of the best 3 wide receivers in the league. This is so deserving, even though he was hurt last year. This guy is an absolute stud. And if the Giants want to be a Super Bowl contender within the next few years when Eli Manning's career is winding down, Odell has to stay healthy, Saquon Barkley has to stay healthy, and they both have to produce, as well as Manning himself, if they want to be a contender. And this is something that the Giants absolutely had to do, especially with drafting Saquon Barkley over Sam Darnold and prolonging Eli Manning's career with the Giants. Last thing I want to get to is something fun. The MLB local TV announcer rankings. I did this with the NFL football radio announcers last week and with the NFL TV announcers last week as well. This one's going to be the MLB local TV announcers. Some teams have more than one guy, so that's why there are 37 guys in these rankings instead of 30. Number 37 is Ryan Lafferty of the Royals. 36 is Mario Impemba of the Tigers. 35 is Todd Callis of the Astros. 34 is Dave Sims of the Mariners. 33 is Glenn Coopier of the A's. 32, Buck Martinez, Toronto Blue Jays. 31, Drew Goodman, Colorado Rockies. 30, Dwayne Kuiper, San Francisco Giants. 29, Ken Singleton, New York Yankees. 28, Dave Raymond, Texas Rangers. 27, Dwayne Satz, Tampa Bay Rays. 26 and 25, Joe Block and Greg Brown from the Pirates. 24, Bob Carpenter, Nationals. 23, Matt Underwood, Indians. 22, Paul Severino, Marlins. 21, Steve Sykic, Royals. 20, Jason Benetti, White Sox. 19, Ryan Ruocco, Yankees. 18, Steve Bertham, the Diamondbacks. 17, Victor Rojas, Los Angeles Angels. 16, Dan McLaughlin, St. Louis Cardinals. 15, Dave O'Brien, Boston Red Sox. 14, Tom Brenneman, Cincinnati Reds. 13, Charlie Steiner, Los Angeles Dodgers. 12, Dick Bremer, Minnesota Twins. 11, John Miller, San Francisco Giants. 10, Chip Carey, Atlanta Braves. 9, Dan Shulman, Toronto Blue Jays. 8, Joe Davis, Los Angeles Dodgers. 7, Len Casper, Chicago Cubs. 6, Tom McCarthy, Philadelphia Phillies. 5, Gary Cohen, New York Mets. 4, Gary Thorne, Baltimore Orioles. 3, Don Orsillo, San Diego Padres. 2, Brian Anderson, Milwaukee Brewers. Number 1, Michael Kay, New York Yankees. This was a hard list to make. All these guys are good, but some of these guys have a tendency to be a little bit biased towards their own teams and don't respect their others. Like I've seen that with some of these guys. And I grade these rankings based on that and enthusiasm and fairness. And a lot of these guys are fair that I ranked on this list. And I don't mean to disrespect or hurt anybody by any way by doing this. So that's that. I'll be doing the radio MLB local announcers tomorrow on that podcast. I'll also be doing Guess the Lines for week 1 of the college football season. Go over the baseball games for tonight. Look ahead to tomorrow's games. Go over any other news that breaks in the world of sports. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.